Your health, your way, your community. Make the change. Join the movement.
Okay, welcome to a special edition of Heal Me. We have Alison Compton to talk about human design, and today's going to be slightly interactive too. If you haven't downloaded or had a look at your chart, there are the links within the show notes of the call, so please do that now. Maybe if Nat or somebody wants to pop that in the chat as well for anybody that hasn't already done it, then anyone on the call now can go through it. But first of all, Alison, welcome to the call. And before we get started with your presentation, could you please just let everybody know just a little quick hello and what got you interested in and started with human design?
I came to Australia in 99 and a friend messaged me from the UK to say, you've got to have a human design reading. And this was 2005, I think. And she says, it's amazing. If you don't get anything from it, I'll give you the money back. And it was like, wow. So I got that and I was just blown away. It was like somebody was sat on my shoulder watching me. It was like, how do you know this about me? How do you know that I go into people's houses, well, friends' houses, and look in fridges? Because I do. And it's like, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know I cut labels out of my clothes and that I get irritated with things and that I can taste when somebody says it's Heinz tomato sauce and it's not, and it's a cheap one. And it was just like, wow. And so from there, it's just really been investigating, buying the books, studying a bit more. And then I just went down the path of, right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the full thing. So I did the analysis training, which cost me an arm and a leg, millions of thousands and hundreds of dollars later. Yeah, I'm poor, but I'm full of knowledge.
Poor but happy. You got the real currency now.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's pretty fascinating that it can give that much insight because I think a lot of people are at least aware of it now because, especially I think more so in the last sort of few years as well, there's been more of a resurgence in things like astrology, human design, gene keys, and several of the other modalities that can help people get perhaps a little bit more self-awareness. So this isn't the first time people have heard of human design. I actually had somebody on a couple of months ago as well talking about it. So we can go into your presentation, which you have. For those that have just joined, because a few more people joined, Nat has just posted in the chat. Thank you, Nat.
Yeah.
Where there is.
Can I just get Nat to post the Jovian archive? Because if you go to my website, you've got to send an email and I'm on the call, so I won't be doing your chart.
He's got that one up there, the jovianarchive.com, get your chart. So that's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was Amy Doyle, thanks, Nat, that was on last year. So we've had some experience with it, like collectively as a platform, and obviously everybody individually themselves. But there's always like everybody's got a different way of looking at things, even if it's the same thing, So I'm very interested to hear how your experience has gone with it and how you like to look at it, because it's and then we'll go wherever you like with it. But if you want, we can start the screen sharing. And also, before we do that, just so that everybody in the chat is aware, I know that some of you have had personal experience with Alison as well. So if there's anything specific you'd like me to field for her, please pop it in the chat and we'll go through that as well. So I'll let you take it away, Alison.
Okay. Yeah, because I love questions. So, and it makes it more real, when it's linked to somebody's particular chart and experience. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if I look away, it's because I've got two screens. So apologies for that. But just this is me, Alison Compton. I'm on my sovereign journey. So I've copyrighted my name and things like that. And yeah. So really, the benefits of human design are just that it gets to the real you. It's like a comfort thing. It's like a little blanket. It's like having that fleecy little blanket around you that goes, you're okay. It's okay to be you. You know, you don't have to conform. You don't have to fit into everything else. You're not here to do that. And it gives you a way of making your decisions. So it's what's right for you. So when you have a chart, and those of you that's got one, even in front of you, it shows you your decision-making authority. So you can tap into the correct way to make decisions for you. Because a lot of things we're just doing things from our mental capacity of, oh, make up your mind and it's a no-brainer. And when our mind's not for that, our mind is amazing, but it's not for making decisions. And it's just been attracting the right people, it's operating on the right frequency, and it really is transforming your conditioning, as in your upbringing, what it's all about, your conditioning that you've had up to the age of 7 and on. So lots of things it covers. It's exoteric and esoteric. So it actually does the quantum physics. It looks at the biochemistry and the genetics. And then it also, it combines Eastern and Western astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and yeah, it covers quite a lot of stuff. It's all pulled in, the chakra systems. So when you look at mandala, and you don't usually get the mandala when you go to get a chart or anything, this is like an extra printout, but it basically has everything on there. So it shows you your astrological, your planet positions. So you can see that we've got some symbols there, the Mars and, Scorpio and Libra and those signs, but the link to the I Ching. So the I Ching is the biggest thing, the I Ching and the hexagrams, where we get into the nitty gritty. Then you've got the actual gates of the I Ching, and they're thousands of years old, and how those connect and the planets. Then we've got your conscious and unconscious, the colors. So you've got the planets, because the planets are doubled on your chart, and I'll show you them in a minute. And then we've got the actual body graph itself. So there's huge amount of information, and you can go right down the rabbit hole. But at the end of the day, if you haven't got your decision-making process sorted, and you haven't got the way that your aura interacts, which is your type, then there's no point in going down the rabbit hole. So this is the chart that I ran for this morning at 10 a.m. And so if you've got a chart in front of you, you'll have similar information. And as you can see, it's actually the type is manifesting generator. Interesting. So this is all about making things happen, sharing the information, and we'll go into the different types. There's 4 types. Generators, manifesting generators are the same type, they're just slightly different. We've got manifestors, we've got projectors, and we've got reflectors. We've got a profile number. Now, your profile number is all about how you engaging in life. So I'm happy to answer questions on profiles if we've got time at the end, but I can talk forever. So, I'm a good talker. Yeah. Your definition is how your energy flows. Your inner authority for today is the sacral. So we're working with the response. And our not self theme is frustration. So it tells you there, and it means that when you're not making your decisions right, when you're not in your flow, when you're not trusting your process, then you get frustrated. And I just thought it was interesting. The incarnation cross is the vessel of love for this morning. And that's all about the love of humanity. It's all about diversity, extremes, and it's all about creating a better, greater union and pulling people into the flow of life. Well, that was yay for today. So here we go. Here's the chart. This is the nitty gritty. So you can see that we've got planets up and down either side, and you can see we've got a red side and a black side. The red side is what we call the design, and that's calculated about 3 months before you're born, 88 degrees on the astrology chart. And that is your vessel, your vehicle, your body. This is what your soul decided it needed for this journey. And so everything in red is connected to your body, your genetics, your heritage, and your journey that's sort of automatically programmed. Everything that's black, your personality, is all about, that's the moment that you leave the womb, in whatever way you leave the womb, that's when that's calculated. And that is conscious, that is who you think you are, what you know as you, or what you think you know as you. It's the soul. But remember, the soul lost its memory when it came into this world, when it came into this body. So the personality is all about, let me take the driving seat. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do. But the red is your unconscious, and it's going, don't think so. No, you've got to communicate and you've got to work as one. And that's where your decision making comes in. And you can
Just
see.
quickly, Alison.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, just quickly. So if the numbers in the red are higher than the black, does that mean you're being run more by your programming than your true self? And if the numbers in the black are higher, no, I can't figure the relationship between.
Yeah, the numbers are directly related to the I Ching gate. So it's where the planet is in position and which I Ching gate it's hitting when you were born. So if you look at the top one, 15.1, that's the Earth. That's where that's the sun. That's where the sun was when you were born. And that's a key planet. And that is 70% of who you are. So it doesn't matter whether it's a higher number or lower number, it's just a number. Yeah. And so on the other side, we've got 25.4. So that 25.4 is the sun from the design. So that's from the body. That's the body and what we're here to do. So it's sort of like, they say that it's like roads and tunnels. The roads are on top, the black's on top. You know what it works, you know how it works. So everything that we talk about that's black, you go, yeah, I know that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do that. And then everything that's red is like, do I? Do I do that? Oh, I didn't realize I did that. And your friends will go, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So and then you become aware of that. So you can become aware, but you cannot change it. And then together, as they link together, it's about your decision making is the bridge that brings the conscious and the unconscious together so that you're on your right track, if that makes sense. Yeah. So your gut, we've got the sacral. So that's a gut instinct. That's a gut sacral, a sound, a resonance that goes, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's not do that. Let's go here. Let's do that. And that's what pulls your whole thing, your whole chart together. Otherwise, you're in the black and you're trying to take over and you're trying to make decisions that are not right for you. They're programmed by conditioning. So when we talk about the true self and the not self, and this is more about the not self because we get lost in who we think we should be. And so everything in your chart that is colored in, regardless of what color it is all about, this is your energy. It runs 24/7. You've got ownership on it. It never changes. And that's who you are. And that energy you project out to other people. And other people pick it up in their white spaces. So wherever you're white is your potential to learn about the world. So you bring all that energy in from other people and you amplify it and make it stronger. So it's a bit like being in an echo chamber. You pull it in. Now, the idea is that you pull it in to learn. You don't pull it in to belong to it, to feel like it's yours. So when you look at your chart, so if I can just go back. Yeah. So you can see that everything that's colored in is belongs to this chart. It's how it flows. It flows like that all the time. But everywhere it's white, it pulls it in and takes it in from everybody around. So you can see we've got 4 white centers there. We've also got white bits of lines. Yeah. We've got colored bits. So we've got red, that is unconscious. We've got black, that is conscious. And then we've got red and black. And the red and black means you've got 2 planets hitting that gate at the same time from each side of the chart. Yeah. So let me know if there's any questions, Tom, or if I'm going on too much or I'm getting...
Yeah, no, it's great. It's so one of them is that Dale said, is it good to have similar numbers on each side for harmony?
No, there's no good and there's no bad. It just is. And this is a key thing. It just is. This is you. So there's no good or bad. It's not great to be a manifester. It's not great to be a generator. It's not awful to be a reflector. It just is. It's just you. So if you've got 2 on the same, it just means then it's generally the big planets like Pluto, Neptune, those because they take longer to move round the chart. It just means you've got double whammy. It's extra strong. And if you've got it in your smaller planets like your sun, your earth, your moon, your nodes, it's really important. Your Venus, Mars, it's really important and it's extra strong in your chart and you need to pay attention. And when you don't pay attention, it kicks your ass. Yeah.
Cool. I like it. No, this is good so far. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm saying is you can be anything you want. This chart is to say what comes natural, what is here for you, what you've asked your soul to learn before you come into this body, and it's all there. However, if you want to be a ballet dancer, you can be a ballet dancer. It just means that if it's not in your chart, it's going to be hard work. You're going to struggle. You're going to have to push yourself, but it's not stopping you. So what I want to say is you can be anything you want. What this chart is saying is, this is what you're here to be. This is what you'll thrive at. This is what will flow for you because this is what you asked for before you came into this body. Yeah. So
and so just on that, Alison, so the ones like, let's say you've got, so that one on the left, for example, has 3 white main areas, the head, and then off to like kind of where the below the heart. Does that mean that in this lifetime, that individual hasn't chosen for those to be naturally full and they will always need, or I don't know if needs the right word, but they will always get energy to those centers or places from others or another source, or throughout the journey, do you actually end up filling each one of those? For example, in another system, you might say that you have filled the Dantian or filled the energy center. Once you've done enough inner work, you actually end up becoming more whole, so to speak. Like the way I would look at this picture is that it's not particularly whole. And I know you said there's no right or wrong, and we all come in with some parts inherently are remembered and other parts need to be remembered. And that's a different nature for all of us. But I'm just wondering, does somebody, does that change throughout one's life?
No, not really. What it's there to, all the white areas are there for you to learn and get your wisdom. So it's sort of like you've come in, this is the university of life. And what are your subjects? Your subjects are your white areas, your white centers. So that's what you're here to experience. You're here to learn, and you learn about other people and you grow from that, but you don't become attached. So that's what the white areas are about. It's like, okay, so in this university, we've got to learn about the head, we've got to learn about the ajna, we've got to learn about the will center, and we've got to learn about the root center. The others work automatically. So we don't need to grow in our awareness in those areas. Well, we do, but I mean, it's not a subject that we're ticking off. But really, I think if you're growing in awareness, then it's just you're becoming more you. So yes and no, but it's not there to be filled or not filled, if that makes sense. It's just there to learn from. And whether somebody that's got all 9 centres filled in have been here before and they're not here to learn as much, or whether they're new souls and they're just coming to terms with who they are and don't need the influence of other people as much, I don't know. Who knows? When I pass on, I'll let you know. Send a message back.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'm not self-conditioning. I love this picture. It happens up to the age of 7, but it's everything around us. As soon as we pop out the womb, it's people going, oh, you know, my baby's smiling faster than your baby. And, oh, is your baby 3 months old and it's not doing this? Oh, mine's walking, yours is not. And it's a constant competition of how to improve and fit in and modify. And there's lots of systems, there's lots of things that's around us that tell us how much we conform. And here's just a nice slide of a school teacher forcing us into a box. Bless her. Yeah. So any questions so far before I start talking about types?
No, I think just to reiterate, because some people are saying, well, I've got a lot to learn because I have lots of white spaces. But the way I heard it before, Alison, is that a white space could indicate that you're either, you know, everybody has a lot to learn, I guess. And it's either that you are very new here and you have a lot to learn, or you actually could be a very old soul, but still have a lot to learn. You know, I think some people might be taking it as like, oh, I'm like below somebody with a full sentence, but it's not really like that, is it?
No, it's not. And I've got a lot of white space. And who's to say that I didn't go, do you know what? I'm going to learn a lot this time. So I will experience more openness. And again, I'm saying lots to learn, but it's more about awareness. It's awareness of other people and what's going on for them. So having the white space means you can connect to other people, read them better, feel what's going on for them, sense what's going on for them, support them. So if you're all coloured in, then you're not going to get a big sense of other people around you, because it's all about you. You will because there's always going to be some little lines, some gates, and they're the key things that condition you. So each thing's got its usefulness. So I'm very open. I've only got 2 defined centers. So when I'm with somebody else, I can really feel them. I really can connect with them. I can really read them and sense them and know what they're about, which helps me as a practitioner. It helps me in my trauma clearing and life coaching and human design anyway. So it's right for me. And other people, it's not right. So there's no what I'm saying is there's no hierarchy.
Yeah, that's how I'm understanding it.
Yeah. It's just like you chose to have blue eyes, or you chose to have blonde hair, or you chose to be 6 foot tall, or you're 5 foot tall. But there's no good or bad. You know, if you're going in tunnels, then being 5 foot is really good and 6 foot is not. Playing basketball, 6 foot's good, 5 foot's not. Depends what you do with it. Yeah?
Yeah, makes sense.
So let's look at types, because that's a big thing. And like I said, your type is your aura. It is it's your energy that connects with other people and how that energy connects with other people. So you can see we've only got 1% reflectors, and they're here. They're like a fluffy, they're like a canary down the coal mine. They just sense the environment and let you know what's going on. Projectors, we've got 22%. And these percentages come from Jovian Archive, where millions of people run charts and what have you. So how accurate are they? I think pretty, because even if you're into it, you usually run everybody else's chart that you know. Yeah. Manifestors, 9%, so they're not as many. Manifesting generators are 32% and generators are 36%. So generators, whether manifesting or pure generators, huge, huge, because they're builders of the world. So I'll just go into each one now. So a manifestor, we do have, there's still quite a lot of people. I've got manifestors. I've got 2, 3 in my life. And manifestor energy is really weird because they're here to do. They're here to knock on doors, just make things happen. They're that person that can just go, I'm just going to do this, and you do it, and you're gone. You just, like, no fear. You just did it. You just, yeah, because that's what they're here to do. So they are here to initiate. They're very self-sufficient. And what happens is their aura is quite tight around them, and it's hard to penetrate and read a manifestor. So what happens is, because manifestors are very self-sufficient, that it's like people go, oh, I can't read you, so I want to control you. And especially with children, because manifestor children are, there's no telling them. You cannot tell them what to do. They're going to do it anyway. So if the doors open a crack, they will be out that door and down the street and living life. But because their aura is tight, then they're often very much protected. So they're the kids that go off running down into the woods. The parents call the police, send a search party. The kid comes home and goes, so what's the problem? And they say, because they have the aura, they're here to just do. And they don't like being interfered. They don't like being told what to do. They don't want to listen. So the work with the manifestor is to ask them to inform. So when they say, I'm going to do, just go, great, can you do, I'll let you do it once you've cleaned your bedroom. And you do a deal with them, with the manifestor. So it's, they want peace. They don't want to be around a lot of people because they often have a lot of openness. So they get impacted, and they're not always people person. I've got my friend, she's a manifestor, and she goes, somebody told me I'm not very open. And she says, I'm so open. And it's your aura. It's not that you're not, it's just your aura. People can't read you. So when you're being a not self, because manifestors are very, very powerful. So let me tell you, a not self, did I say it earlier, is when you're not you, when you're not in your flow, when you're not trusting yourself, when you're conditioned, when you're running out of your open centers and you're influencing. So a manifestor is always frightened of upsetting people. Yeah. And they don't want confrontations. They don't tell anybody what they're going to do. They just do it. Now, a manifestor, what they need to do is make their decision, and then before they do it, they inform, so that then the other person is not saying, no, you can't do it. They always got that fear of being controlled. They're very powerful. They get very angry when they get controlled. So often they've got fear of their own anger. And they want peace. They don't want rejection. So they often hide away. So I don't know. Do you know any manifestors, Tom?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, just only by that personality trait that you're describing.
Yeah, yeah. So I had a dear friend, and she was this was like, as I was learning about human design, but I didn't know her enough to ask her what her birth details were. And then when we went to a funeral, it was like I got her birth details, and I thought, I've got to run a chat. And she was so timid, and so she'd like go, oh, is it okay if I sit here? Oh, are you sure? And I say, do you want a cup of tea? Oh, are you sure? Are you sure it's okay to have a cup of tea? Are you sure you don't mind? And it was as though she was apologizing for breathing. And then when I ran her chart, she was a broken manifestor. She'd been controlled so much that she was so frightened of upsetting anybody in any way. And it was just really sad, really sad. Yeah. So, yeah, often they have abusive relationships because somebody wants to control them. Not always, not always. Yeah. So generators and manifesting generators. Now, people want to separate them, but they're not. They are the same. They are the same aura type. And a pure generator and a manifesting generator, the difference is the manifesting generator has energy that goes straight to the throat so they can make things happen. But they should only be making things happen when their decision-making authority says it's the right thing to do. So a manifestor just goes off. They just go off and do. And a manifesting generator thinks they can do the same, but they're not here to do the same. They don't work in the same way. They have to respond with their sacral, with their energy type. So a generator has what we call a sacral energy, a resonance. It's a vibration. It's unique to them. So they're here to respond. And what I mean by respond is that everything that you look at, you respond. So the sun's coming up. So you look at the sun and you think, oh, pull the blinds down, or open the blinds, or open the curtains, open the windows. You look at the fridge and it's like the sacral goes, yeah, open the fridge, see what's in, look at the food. Oh, I'll have that to eat. Oh, no, I'll have that. And so constantly, as your eyes are scanning everything, your sacral's going, When you search on the internet, all those links, it's like, which one do you click? Oh, that one. Oh, that one. Does that make sense? Because I think are you a generator, Tom, or a manifesting generator?
A generator.
Yeah. So it's like a resonance.
Sorry, keep going. It's like a resonance, did you say?
Yeah, it's a resonance. It's a sound resonance. It's a vibration that comes up from the sacral. Now, a manifesting generator is faster. So often they can't feel that it just comes out of their mouth. It's just like, yep, okay. Oh, right, yep. You're talking to them and they just go, yep, all right, yep, okay. Whereas a generator's going, yeah. Do you want fish and chips for tea? And as a child, oh, go on.
What's the nature of the sacral center? Because you say it comes from the sacral center and that's the one that's doing the kind of thing. Well, what's the nature of that as opposed to, like the heart or the solar plexus or something like that?
Right. This is so we'll be going through all the centers, but the center that's specific to the generators that makes them a generator is the sacral. So the sacral or the sacral is their way of responding to the world, but also their decision making. So it's like combined. It's combined. That sacral is always going. It's always responding. And manifestors and generators and manifesting generators are here to respond to life. So what's drawing me in? What do I want to do? As I look at that, what do I want? Yeah. So it's a constant thing. And then when your decision making might be something that overlays that sacral, but that sacral is your life force energy that is always going and it's always guiding you. And it's the way that you connect with your unconscious. It's the way that you connect with your body. Does that answer your question?
Yep, sure does.
Yeah. Okay. So, your goal as a generator is to be satisfied, is to love what you're doing because you're a builder of the world. So the manifestors go out and make things happen, but then the generators pick that up and they run with it. And they build and they create and they make a better world. So they're here to work. Generators are here to work. Sorry to tell you that. Yeah. But then you know that. Because generators like working, but only what they love. And this is where the sacral is. When you respond to something you love, it's not work. When you're doing something you love, it's not work. It's only work and slavery when you're doing something that's not right for you. So the not self of the generator is fear of missing out, because they think if they wait to respond, they have to wait forever. And they don't. They're responding every minute of every day. Do I click this? Do I look there? Oh, what's that on the floor? Oh, shall I pick it up? Shall I what? Shall I? Yeah. So you're constantly responding to life. It's just you've been programmed to think only responding is you've got to sit and wait, sit and wait, sit and wait. No, it's happening. Shop. Generators, just go shopping with your sacral. You can walk down the supermarket shelves or whatever and just go, yep, no, yeah. You don't need a shopping list. Your body will tell you what you need to buy, what you need to eat. Yeah. I don't have a sacral, so I go shopping and I go, oh yeah, I'm sure I need that. Oh, I'm sure I need that. And I get home and I've got another 3 jars of the same thing. I bought it over and over and over again because my sacral doesn't respond like that. Yeah. So you've got the fear of the unknown, fear that nobody will ask you, fear that you'll have nothing to do. So there's a lot of fear with the generators. When you're not, because you think that you've got to keep going. And when we go into the centers, I'll tell you where that comes from as well. So fear of losing control, fear of failing, because what happens with generators is they make decisions with their mind and they go, oh, right, I need to do that. Oh, all right, I need to do that. And what a big thing happens is you have these amazing ideas, and especially when you're dreaming, you wake up and you've got all these amazing ideas. Oh, this will be really good. I can make this, and this will make a good business, and we need to do this, and I need to do that. And so you've got all these things, and especially manifesting generators have got all these amazing ideas. I've got to do it now. This is the best thing I've got to do. And they run off and do what their mind is telling them to do. And the mind is here to share. So if it's for you, if you've got all these ideas, like say this morning you woke up and you went, Bali. Oh, let's go to Bali. That's a great idea. We'll go to Bali. Now, if that is for you, you will then get an email advertising flights that say Bali. Or you'll drive down the street and there'll be a Balinese restaurant and your sacral will go, ooh, Bali. Or you'll speak to somebody and go, I had this crazy dream about Bali. And they go, really? Bali? And then you hear that back and your sacral goes, So it has to come from the outside world for you to respond. It's not for your head. It's like you need a way to bypass your head because your head's bringing everything in and you think you need to do it all and you don't. Your sacral will tell you which ones you need to do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. But that's only for generators and manifesting generators, not the others.
70% of the population, remember? Yes. So it's got to be outside of your head for your sacral to respond. Otherwise, you're getting lost in your thoughts. So projectors, this is me. Here to guide energy, here to connect with others. But the aura, so what? Oh, hang on. Where are we? The manifesting aura is very fluffy, is very connected. It's easy to connect with, easy to be around, comfortable. It's like a nice fluffy aura and easy to read. Yeah. So the projector is a penetrating aura. It's like zooms in. So you're zooming in. And so that energy is quite intense because you can read somebody. It's like you can put these X-ray glasses on and just go, oh, yes, that's what's going on for you. But if that person that you're with is like, whoa, I don't know you, and because this is all energetic, they're feeling you energetically, that you're invading their space. So they have to invite you in. They need to invite you in and go, welcome. But an invite can be anything from a smile, hello, to a come on in. But you need their permission because otherwise you're invading their space. and you need to be recognized and valued, because that's what you're about as a projector, being valued, being connected, and you're here to learn about yourself, because projectors know themselves by connecting with other people, and they grow by connecting with other people. However, it's also about not getting lost in other people. Projectors don't have a sacral, so they're not here to work the 9 to 5 grind. They get very, very tired. The manifestors don't have a sacral. They get very tired. So it's often they get labeled as wussers or slackers or lazy, because they don't have that energy to drive. They pull it in from a generator, and they can run faster, a million miles faster than a generator can, but then they just go, because they've run out of energy. They've used yours. They've pulled it in from somebody else. Yeah. So they do need to be noticed. They do need to be valued and appreciated, because when they're not, they get bitter. They get really bitter and hurt and take their bat home. They'll go, I'm not playing this. I'm taking my bat home. See you later. I don't care. Cut your nose off to spite your face. I'm not doing it. And that's a projector. They can be quite bitter and twisted if they're not valued, not recognized, because they do know it. They read you. They're know-it-alls. They know it all. They do. And they're the ones that's really bossy that'll go, no, you need to do this. No, you need to do that. And especially kids in the playground. Yeah. But people don't want to hear it till they're ready to hear it. So they can feel like they're never going to be invited, because they're waiting for that recognition. And all through my career, every amazing job has always been an invite. It's always somebody's rang me up. People go, they're not going to knock on your door, They do. They send me an email and they go, somebody's told me about you. I'm on LinkedIn. They contact me, recruiters. I do not apply for jobs because it don't work, because they don't see me, because that's me knocking on doors. I have to wait to be valued, wait to be appreciated. It's hard because, waiting, but that's how it works.
Just quickly with that, Alison, because somebody said, Dale said, no doubt that we all have traits from each type, as it is usually the case with most of these things. And I think a lot of people could relate to the, say, not being valued, for example. And so, does that mean that we sometimes, how does that work? Because obviously we are parts, like every modality says that you've got every part, but you're a dominant in that. So when you can relate to another, another type, does that mean that it's just that type is present at the time, but you're not really going to stay there because it's not your dominant type?
Is Dale a projector, or is Dale just mentioning that because?
No, she's just mentioning that we all have various traits, but I know a lot of people have different types, and a lot of what you're saying for this projector type could also be they're either manifesting generators or whatever, and you're like, but that kind of describes them as well.
Yes. So what that actually describes is it's describing their will center. So the will center, so I've just checked the time and I need to get moving, don't I? So This is your aura type. It's your aura type. It's not, and then because what happens with human design, it's everywhere in your body. So it's not one particular thing. So the will center is all about your self-worth and your self-esteem. So I'll go into that in a minute, but the projector is the aura type, and it's how they function, which is different to the energy. So the aura type is they need to be valued, need to be recognized for them to work and share the knowledge. Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, reflectors, I don't know, there's very few reflectors, but reflectors are here to sample. Like I said, they're like a mirror. They hold a mirror up against you. So if you're feeling really angry, you're going, they're angry, but they're actually reflecting you. So they're amazing reflectors. So if they're sick, if they're upset, they're reflecting back to you. They're reflecting their community. They're reflecting their house, the people that they're with. So they're completely open. And they have to wait 28 and a half days to go through a lunar cycle to make a decision, because they're waiting for the moon to go through their chart and fill in their body centers, because they feel like a different type every day as they go through their cycle. And so they have to go, right, on day 10, I feel like a manifester. On day 12 and day 16, I feel like a manifesting generator and I can do 1,000,000 miles an hour. So their decision making has to go through a full 28 days to go, is this me? Is this actually what I want? So they have big problems because they have to get to know themselves. And they get to know themselves by running a cycle chart and being with the moon and seeing where they are. And they have big fears of missing out, big fears of not being don't know who they are, of being invisible. They're often invisible people, or they throw wobblers, or they make lots of attention. Look at me, because they feel like nobody gets them. They're empty. It's sort of like they're empty and they never know who they are until they learn the lunar cycle. It's a challenge, but that's what they're here to do. Yeah. So when we look at decision-making authority, we've got 50% of the population are solar plexus and 32 are sacral alone. So even if you're a generator, your sacral is working 24/7, saying yes, no, vibrating. But then you may have an emotional overlay. So our emotions go up and down like the waves of the ocean. And so you need to decide when you're making your decision whether the sacral's saying yes or no through your emotional wave. So if you've got your emotional center colored in, and I'll show you that in a minute, then, or if it's at the top of your chart and it says you're emotional, then it means that the sacral has got to be saying yes, 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 all the way through your emotional ups and downs. So the sacral is still important, but it has that emotional overlay. So for instance, you see a car and the sacral goes, yeah, buy that car, that's amazing, sports car, yeah, great. And on your up day, you want to buy it. And then as you go through your emotional waves and you're going up and down, at least 3 days, the sacral's going, yeah, no, I don't want that car. And then it's like, oh yeah, I want that car. Oh yeah, that's great. And you go and buy the car. But you only like the car when you're on an up day, and you hate the car when you're on a low day, a low energy, a low emotional day. So your sacral's got to be saying yes, 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 all the way through that emotional wave for it to be true for you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we've got splenic authorities, so that's intuition. We've got ego manifested authority, so that's all about manifestors that they've got to do what's right for them. Yeah, so let's have a look at the centers, because this is most important. So once you've got your decision-making authority, then you need to look at the centers, because the head, can you see the will center there? The heart center, the ego, the will center. That is our center of self-worth, value, appreciation. And so that center is, we only have, no, let me get my percentages, will center. There's only 37% have that center colored in. So 30% have a sense of self-value, a steady sense of self-value. Now, I don't mean to say it's a good sense of self-value, but it's steady away. So where it's coloured, it's steady away. Where it's white, it's not. It means that depends who you're with to whether you feel self-worth, whether your self-esteem is high, whether your self-esteem is low. It is constantly changing. And you can be highly competitive. You can be making promises because you want to be of value and be of worth. And that's the will center. So it's not the projector energy, it's the will center. So when you're colored in there, defined, it means that when you make a decision, that's it, you've made a decision. You don't change your mind, you've made the decision. And you impact everybody around you that's open. And they pull in that energy and they go, oh, yeah. So you go, right, everybody, let's go to Bali, hand over your credit cards, I'll book the flights. And everybody go, yeah, I'll go, yeah, I'll go. And then hand over the credit card details, yeah. They walk out of your aura because you've got the will center and they go, oh, shit, what have I done? Don't want to do it. I don't want to go. Don't want to, it's too late. And so they're influenced by that because they're picking that up and it makes them feel worthwhile and self-esteem. So the biggest learning of that will center is that you need to trust your authority to make your decision, but also you need to ask yourself the question, am I doing this? Am I committing to this to influence another person? Or am I doing it for me? Am I buying this designer handbag for me or to influence? Because everybody's going to go, oh, look at her with the designer handbag. Am I helping my friend move house because I feel obliged? She's my friend. I really need to do it, even though my decision making is going, I'm pushing myself into places that are not right for me. So I end up hurting myself, because I want to be of value. I want my friend to like me. I want it to be worthwhile. So it's a huge center. It's only small, but it's huge. Yeah.
I guess likewise, Alison, so you're kind of talking about the people who have that not colored. It's the discernment as to whether you're trying to please or go with the flow or somebody, it's not you.
Yes.
And like you said, but when you describe that, I'm like, oh, so that's the salesman. The salesman is the one that's able to like convince somebody almost that they need this thing.
Yeah.
And that's where buyer's remorse comes in. People buy stuff that they just don't want. Like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Or I'll just buy it so that I'm not, I'll just go with the flow and not rock the boat. I'll put on a mask. I'll do this or whatever. But then the other side of it seems like you've got to be careful if you have that, because you have to also be asking the question, am I leading or am I putting this off forward for the highest good, or is it for my personal gain? Like, it sounds like it's that side as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got that, you've got a defined will center, then often you find that people back out and you get very disappointed, because when you say yes, you commit. And you can't understand why people back out, and they do. So when you've got a defined will center, it's important that you give other people, and you go, tell me tomorrow, let me know later. I'm collecting the information and let me know. But if you've got a sacral and your sacral's saying yes, then you can commit straight away, because you're here to commit straight away.
Okay.
Because
and the
yourself.
Yeah, Mike, so just on that, because Dale said, doesn't it come down to authenticity? So I think that kind of sums up both sides, right? Like, is it authentic? Yeah. And because it sounds to me like you're also describing narcissists, or like, you know how in social media it's called influencers?
Yeah.
And it's like they probably have that colored in, I would imagine. And then the throng of followers or people who just are influenced are in the, so I guess on both sides, it's like, is this authentic?
Yes.
Does that kind of cut through?
Yes, absolutely. And it's also about you and your decisions. So your sacral, as soon as you meet that person, your sacral will be going, and it's going, no. So it's, if you are emotional, that you've got to go through your emotional wave. So you've got to give yourself time to make that decision. But also it can be both ways, Tom, because a defined will that's working as a not self is a very pumped up ego that's going, look at me, I've got this, I've got that. So they use their willpower as a weapon. But it could be that influencers are open will center. So all they're doing is desperate for people to follow us, desperate for followers, desperate to feel like their own self-worth, because look at how many followers I've got. Look, and I'm showing you the next thing, and you're going to buy this. So it could very well be the open will center, that there's that desperation all the time. And it does feel like a desperation when they're really not self. When you are your true self and you've got an open will center, then you just, oh, okay, interested. I feel drawn to that, but I'll wait. I'll go through. I'll notice that I feel great when I'm around that person. I've just got to be discerning. So again, it's all about who you are and where you are. So I just wanted to say about the head center, because that's a huge, huge thing. And that is pressure, mental pressure that comes in, and it points outside of the head. So you're tapping into the universe and you're bringing in that information. Now, it's so easily for you to get caught up in stuff that doesn't matter, stuff that's not for you. Your head is amazing, and it's here to bring that information into your body, and then you give it time to resonate. But it's not there for you to make a decision. It's there for you to share. The head center is about sharing information with others, not making decision. The ajna is all about how you process that information. So if you've got somebody with a defined ajna, the green center, and it's colored in, do not ever argue with them about what happened, because they have a memory bank that's amazing. And they will be able to remember what you said, when you said it, how you said it, what color clothes you were wearing, whether the sun was out, what time of day it is. They know it. So don't even try. So the ajna is about processing and the way that you process information. Now, if you're open there, then you have a flexible way of processing information, and you have a flexible way of being able to see things from lots of different perspectives. You can turn it round upon its head and, oh, if I was that, and if I'd have had that upbringing, and if I lived there, and you can see it from all different angles. So your head is there to ask other people, well, what about, and what if? And so this is a communication tool to open up other ways, not to get locked into factual information, because you can never know for certain. And the more you're saying, I'm certain of, the more you're being a not self. Yeah. How am I doing for time? I'm getting a bit, yeah. Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah. We'll go. How many more slides are there?
Just really two. I wanted, maybe I'll do this one, because this has got your biological centers in this as well. Yeah. So your pineal gland is in your head, and that's where your inspiration comes in. And that's what's challenged when you're being your not self. You're thinking about things that don't matter. You're trying to control everything. You're trying to give everybody the answers. Somebody says, oh, I'm thinking of, oh, let me Google that. I'll find that for you, you know? And so you're constantly trying to use that information. So when I'm talking about these centers, it's not just in the centers, it's often in gates as well. So you might go, oh, well, I've got that center open, but I have all this. So, for example, the head and ajna, if that's open, then you need to make lists. You're not here to hold information. Holding information in your mind means that you block it, because you're too busy holding it. I've got to remember this, I've got to remember that, I've got to remember the other. Now, you can have memory in gates, you can have cellular memory. So, but the open head and ajna, make a list. You're not here to hold on to information. You're here to be open, to let it come through. Throat. So are you pushing yourself to be noticed? Are you speaking out? And again, that is a bit like it's a manifestor center, but the projector, are you talking too much? Are you pushing that information? Are you saying, hey, I'm over here, look at me, look at me? Your throat center, if it's open, is naturally quiet until it's invited. The same with the information that's coming through. It's waiting for people to want you to share what's coming through your mind. You don't just blurt it out. Oh, I've had this amazing dream. I've had this. Oh, you should do this. You could do this. It's all about waiting till the person is ready to hear. So if you're pushing your stuff onto others, whether you've got a defined throat or not, people are not ready, and that affects your thyroid gland. It affects your throat. You're talking too much. You're pushing too much. You're trying to make things happen. And so you're putting strain on that center. The G center is your sense of self. And is there any questions, Tom?
There are, but they can wait until you're finished with this one.
Okay, so the G center is your identity. This is where your GPS, your chauffeur sits and drives your body. So when you're defined, then this means that this is, you usually have a good sense of who you are and what you're about. So it is, yes, sorry. It's got your GPS. So when it's just like you just know who you are. When you're open, you don't know who you are because you change. You adapt to who you're with. It's like you're a chameleon because you take in that person, you take in that group. So you've got to be careful who you're around, because if you're around all the bikers, you'll be the biggest biker. If you're around the thugs, you'll be the biggest thug because you're taking it in and you're amplifying it. If you're around lovey-dovey, let's meditate, then you will be so loving and carefree because you are a chameleon and you blend in with the people that you're around. And that can make it difficult in a relationship because they're sort of going, she's the different person when she's with that group to when she's with that group, and what's that about? So it's a center where you can really connect to the other. So it's amazing in counseling, in supporting, in being a practitioner, because you can connect with that other person's center, that other person's sense of love, direction, identity, and support them. You get them. Yeah, but you can get lost in them. And with an open G center, it's the location. It's very important that the location is right for you. So it's like Lygon Street in Melbourne, there's all those Italian restaurants. Which one do you go in? And it has to be the one that resonates with you when you're open G center, because if the place is right, the people are right, the right people will come to you. If the place is wrong, the meal will be crap, the service will be crap, somebody will be sick, somebody will be arguing, it'll be just a shitty experience. So location is so important. I don't know if I'm like this. So I have to get to the restaurant early so I can choose my seat if I haven't chosen the restaurant. Or I have to make it so that it feels like when I go to the cinema, it's like, I can't have seats that's labeled. It's like, because I get in there and I go, oh, shall I sit there? Or shall I sit there? Shall I sit there? I'm sure you all know people like that. And it's very important for them. And when you define, you just going, oh, for fuck's sake, just sit down. Seats are the same as every other seat. Sorry, I'm allowed to swear. Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so important when you're open. So it's like, let them choose the restaurant. Let them choose the seat. Because if you're defined, you don't care. It doesn't matter to you. It's not important. Yeah. The will center we've already talked about. Now the but the will center, that is the thymus, the stomach, the gallbladder. So it's big stuff that goes wrong and affects your health when you're pushing and doing things that's not right for you, when you're pushing to be approved, when you're pushing to be of worth. This is a big one. It's a small center, but it's huge. It's got 3 names. There you go. Tells you it's big. Ego, will, and heart. Yeah. So when you've got stuff wrong with your stomach, when you've got stuff wrong with your gallbladder and your T cells and everything, then it's all about looking at, where am I pushing myself? Where am I trying to prove myself? Because you don't need to prove yourself. You are here. That's enough. Just being you is enough. So the stomach, the solar plexus is your emotions. And so that's the kidney. I think that's supposed to say the bladder, not the blabber, unless that's a new organ that I don't know about.
Yeah, no, I saw that before. I was like, the blabber's kind of funny too.
Yeah, I typed that up because the labels were so small. So I thought, oh, right, I'll just overlay that. So that's me typo. Sorry. Pancreas. Because your emotions are a wave and there is no explanation or reason or rhyme for your emotions. They just are. And the worst thing somebody can say is, why are you feeling like that? Oh, you're in a mood. You're always in a mood. If you colored in there, you are always in a mood of some kind, because that's what it's there for. Your emotions are like the sea. They go up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. But you will have a system of your waves as they go up and down. It will be regular in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, but it's about not trying to control them. When you try and control your emotions is when you create the tsunami. And the person with the open emotional center takes that in and feels that tidal wave of emotions. They're going, what? Yeah, because they take it in and they amplify it. So what people with a white open center, solar plexus, is they tend to play nice. They want everything to be nice because they don't want to feel the energy from a confrontation. They don't want to feel that they've upset anybody because it's super big. If they go to funerals, they feel all that sadness and that pain amplified. They're the ones that's sobbing at a funeral and they hardly know that person. And you just go, but you don't really know them. It was just a neighbor. Oh. And they're over the top because they're taking it in and amplifying it. So it's just being the emotion, but your learning is to be able to be you and learn about other people's emotions. They're not yours. You're just taking them in. They're not yours. Yeah. So the sacral, we've talked about a little bit, but the sacral is, it's your life force energy. It's going, and it's like it's called a generator, but it's like a generator. It's humming away all the time. So when you don't have a generator, when you don't have a sacral, you can feel that from other people and you pick up that energy, you amplify it, and you're super fast and you want to do everything and you overcommit and you go, yeah. Oh, we'll do the gardening. Yeah, let's do all the gardening. It's going to be 3 hours. Oh, I'll keep going. I'll do another hour. I can pull some more weeds out. And you really overdo it because it's not your energy. So you're not used to it and you push yourself too much. Whereas somebody with a sacral, they're used to that energy. It just hums away all the time. So the spleen is very, very interesting because this is your health and well-being. This is your washing machine of your body. This is where your intuition and living in the now. So when you're open spleenically, then you pick up on other people's health and well-being. And you can amplify it. You can feel when somebody's not well. You feel when somebody's out of sorts. And sometimes you can feel like it's yours. So an example was I was carpooling, driving people. We were going for a walk and everything, and I started feeling stomach cramps because I'm open in my splenic area. And it's like, oh God, I've got to run to the loo. Where's the car park? You know, I'm pulling into the car park. I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. And I pull in, it felt funny, but it did feel like I needed to run to the loo. I pulled into the car park, parked up, and the woman in the back seat run out and run like hell to the toilet. And then my body just settled down and it was like, oh, that wasn't me. I didn't need to go. They did. I was picking her up. And that's how it can be. So if you're a health practitioner, you can pick up everybody else's health and well-being, but you've got to be careful you don't take it on board. It's not yours. You're very sensitive. You're very sensitive to pharmaceuticals. You're very sensitive to a lot of things. And your well-being is always fluctuating. So when you're open, you're often holding on to things that no longer work for you, that are no longer healthy, because it gives you a sense of security. These are the hoarders. Whereas when you're defined splenically, your health and well-being flows naturally, and it flows the same way all the time. So often you don't know you're ill when you're ill, and it's somebody else that goes, do you think you should be check that out? You're not well. And it's like, really? Because it's coloured in, it works the same way, whether you're well or whether you're not, unless you're really tuned in. It's a natural thing. This is how it works. And you go get checked up and it's like, oh my God, how are you still walking around with that? So it's important to look at what's going on and look at which center are you pushing. Are you being the not self? Are you not listening to? And the root and the adrenal gland, this is where it's your adrenaline. So it's pressure to get off your bum, pressure to do something, pressure to make things happen. And so when you're defined here, you naturally pressure everybody else. You can say, oh, can you do this for me? And somebody undefined, why, will go, oh, I've got to do it now. I've got to drop everything. I've got to do it now. And they feel that pressure, even though you didn't say do it today. They feel like they've got to do it today. They feel like they're never ending. They can't rest because the inbox is never emptied, and they haven't done the washing up, so they can't sit down, and they haven't cleared this, and they haven't put things away, and so they can't sit down and rest. Or they go the opposite way and complete couch potato. They go into like, it's too much, I can't do it all. So the not self of the open route can be really pressurized. And especially if you've got the pressure head and the pressure root, it's like you're in a pressure sandwich. So it's being aware, if you have a defined root, that you naturally pressure other people. So you've got to be aware of that and not do that. And this is all about awareness. It's all about awareness. So I've got this nice little slide. I love this one. If you're not operating as yourself, you meet resistance. And there we go. No ice cream, no rollerblades, and no dogs. Yes. So
That's awesome.
Be yourself. Always be yourself. Unless you can be a flying pink unicorn. And then, of course, be that, of course. Otherwise, be yourself. All right.
So I'll just ask you questions. We've got about 10 minutes left. If that's all right, I'll just go through some questions.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to make this full screen so I can read it better.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of them were kind of answered along the way.
Yeah.
There was just a couple I noticed that might want some clarification. So yeah, there was a couple here. I think we got to, so one is if you're not 100% sure of your birth time, how much is that going to affect your ability to get a proper like chart and reading?
Yeah, so do a muscle testing. Test you can do muscle testing or kinesiology. If you've got a sacral, you can trust your sacral. You can get somebody to ask you, is it 6 a.m.? Is it between 6 and 7 a.m.? Is it between 7 and 8 a.m.? And muscle test and hone in, because some days you can be a generator all day or a manifester all day. And other days you can go through the whole cycle, the whole 4 types. So you can sort of guess. And then, yeah, a lot of babies are born at 6 a.m. So run a chart every few hours and see how it moves, how it changes. So muscle test.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Trust yourself.
So then Nat asks, so would a closed heart center be more impatient regarding decisions? My head center is one of my 2 only opens, but my ajna center is closed. I live on lists.
It could be that you're not trusting yourself, because you don't need lists if you've got a defined ajna, because you hold the information naturally. So it's trusting yourself. What was the first bit?
Would a closed heart center be more impatient regarding decisions?
Not necessarily. It could just be that you're running on the not self of the closed will center, but you're not saying what your decision-making center is. So it's important that you find that out and you listen to that. If you're a generator, a manifesting generator, then you get impatient. Manifesting generators get really impatient regardless, because they want to go. They want to do it a million miles an hour. They're multitasking queens. Yeah. So it depends.
Okay. And then the last one we'll do, and then we'll just get into how people can contact you, is the channels. So we hadn't talked about the channels, because I noticed, because I've got my chart there as well, like some of the channels are colored and some are open, and like they link all the different centers. So what are the channels about?
Right. So if you've got a planner activating a gate, say gate 44 that's in the spleen, and the opposite gate, which I can't think, oh, yeah. Anyway, if you've got a planet in one center and the planet in the other at the channel, it will connect up and it will color both those centers in. If you've only got one planner and not the opposite end, then it's a half. Makes me laugh. Manifesting generator. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely not. Which is perfect for your job. What you're doing. Organizing everybody. Yes. Kicking ass. Good on you. So you need a center, you need a planet to activate a gate at the opposite end to fill the channel in. And when the channel's filled in, then the centers are filled in. If you've only got one planet at one side, then the other one stays open. So you've got 26 chances, 26 planets hitting those gates. So it depends which gates.
Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yeah, it does to me. I guess it's but yeah, I think obviously people can go back through these calls as well. So
absolutely. And also, Tom, if they've got questions that come later, to just put them in the chat, and I'm happy to go in and answer and add some more. There's just so much information.
yeah, there's a lot. I was just wondering, actually, before we wrap up. So, for example, like let's say somebody's chart says that they prefer certain kinds of environments or certain kinds of people or certain ways to make decisions, but their natural feeling is not that, it's towards something else. Do you think that, like, it's almost paradoxical where the process of knowing yourself is more on the inside rather than a chart? And some people can lean more towards what a chart says than what their internal guidance says. And they kind of like go against each other in certain ways. So I'm just wondering, like, in the case where some people's natural feeling might be different from what a chart says, how would you suggest navigating that?
I would check whether your natural feeling is a not self, is the mind trying to take over. I would also double check the chart to see that we've got the correct birth time. But usually what happens is, once you've got the chart, it's like sits with you comfortably and you just go, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's not like it's ever, I've never experienced where somebody's gone, that's really not me. No, that's not how I work. No, I never, ever experienced that. It's always been, oh, wow, yeah, that's me. And it just feels comfortable when you are trusting your inner self. All I can say, Tom, is try it and trust your sacral if you've got your sacral and see whether it resonates, see whether it reduces that resistance in those challenges, because life is meant to flow. Life's meant to be good, not shitty. If it's shitty, it's because you're pushing yourself in the wrong place and not listening to yourself. It's a whole body experience.
Yeah, totally agree. I really like that. So Nat's just putting in there as well, like there is a ton of information. So what we might do is leave the questions now, because this will be up within a couple of days. And then under the article, we'll have your contact and stuff, and then people can maybe post some other questions there. But just while the call's still running, where can people find you, and what's the best way to follow what you do?
Yeah, empoweringvision.com.au is my website, and I've got YouTube channel, Instagram. Oh, I'm playing with Instagram. Honestly, it does my head in. I don't know how people just love Instagram. It's like 1 minute it's there, next minute it's gone, and it's like then you can't find it again. It's like, oh shit. But anyway, I'm working on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. I'm doing it. Yes.
Awesome. Well, that's rather loud out there. So I don't know if that came through the mic. It was just a big noise coming past. But anyway, everyone in the chat saying thanks a lot, because they really enjoyed it. And thank you. I think that was great. It was very valuable for people. So perhaps if there's a lot of questions, we might even do another call and field those again, because I'm sure that there's a lot to go into. But for today, that was amazing. And thanks.
Good. And I'll be there at the festival. I'm on my way. I'm actually at my friend's house. I'm in my camper van. I'm on my way to the festival. I set off yesterday and said, can I use your internet? So I'm in Wonthaggi at the moment, heading my way. So thanks, Nat. She says, I can do one-on-ones in my camper van as I drive through your town, as long as I've got notice, because it takes a while to analyse a chart. But just happy with questions. Love talking human design.
All right, perfect. Well, again, thank you. We'll definitely look forward to seeing you at the festival. And we'll see you on the platform too, and go through some more questions.
Oh, Tom, before you go, I just wanted to offer a free human design full analyst reading to a member that's already here, because all your offers, they're all to new members. And it's like, well, excuse me, we've been members for 100 years. And where's our special? So if you want to, however you want to do that, I'm happy to do a full reading as a gift to one existing member that whatever. That's
okay. Amazing. Well, what we'll do is, how about everybody who wants to win, go into the draw to win that? Can you please put a comment under the article when this goes up, and just say thanks to Alison that you love to do that, and then we can go through and pick out a winner. And that's amazing. Thank you. That's very generous.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for the opportunity.
Cool. Thanks.
And thanks, Nat. Thanks for the invite.
Nat does a great job getting us good stuff. So well done. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.